California, a land of sunshine, startups, and surfboards. But behind the palm trees and Hollywood lights lies a deeper story, one of bold ambition, untamed opportunity, and constant reinvention. From the gold rush to the tech boom, from ranchos to rocket launches, California has never stood still. It's where dreamers flock, fortunes are made, and history is written in code and capital. But how did this Western outpost grow into the world's fourth largest economy, richer than entire countries? In this video, we explore the story of California's rise through gold, grit, democracy, and the relentless engine of capitalism.
Long before tech and skyscrapers, native Californians lived in harmony with the land. They fished rivers, built villages, and traded across vast distances. Their culture thrived through ritual, art, and identity, marked on their skin, passed through generations. In the late 1700s, Spanish missionaries arrived, building 21 missions along the coast. Their goal wasn't gold, it was conversion. The missions brought European farming, architecture, and religion, but also forced labor and disease. Native life was disrupted and forever changed. When Mexico took control in 1821, the missions were broken up and land was given to elites. The Rancho era began, marked by horseback wealth and sprawling cattle ranches. Still, California was quiet, far from global attention. But change was coming. As the sun set on this era, few could imagine what was about to unfold. New seeds were being sown.
In 1848, James Marshall found gold in a California river. That single discovery sparked a global rush. Miners from China, Latin America, and across the U.S. arrived, chasing dreams but facing hard labor and deep prejudice. Boomtowns rose fast, trails filled with wagons and hopeful faces. San Francisco became a bustling entry point, its harbor packed with ships and people. But striking it rich was rare. Those selling tools and services made more than most miners. Violence was common. With little law, chaos often ruled. Yet commerce thrived. Merchants laid the groundwork for California's capitalist future. After the gold rush, California needed more than gold. It needed connection. In 1869, that connection arrived on steel rails. Much of the Western Railroad was built by Chinese laborers. They worked in brutal conditions, often facing racism and low pay, but their labor made the impossible possible. The Transcontinental Railroad stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific. For the first time, California was no longer isolated. It was linked to the nation's heart. Towns sprang up where tracks were laid, stations became cities, commerce flourished, time and distance collapsed. Engineers cut through mountains and bridged valleys. These projects weren't just physical, they symbolized the ambition to conquer nature and open markets. In blizzards and heat waves, crews drove spikes and hauled rails. Every mile built expanded California's reach. Railways brought steel, seeds, machines, and ideas. Local economies became national players. The flow of goods became a flood. When the lines met in Utah, a golden spike was driven to mark the moment. California had joined the American economy, and the race for its future had begun. By the early 1900s, ships brought thousands seeking a new start. Families from Japan, China, Mexico, and beyond. They built communities, Chinatown, Little Tokyo, East LA, each adding language, flavor, and spirit to the state. Facing discrimination, immigrants organized. They marched, demanded rights, and pushed for change. Despite hardship, they shaped California's economy. Farming fields, opening shops, building homes, children of immigrants filled classrooms, learning English, sharing stories, and redefining what it meant to be American. Culture was everywhere, dances, food, music. Each wave of immigrants added to the mosaic.
But it wasn't easy. Laws excluded many, and families were often separated at the border. Through it all, they stayed. They sang, worked, voted, and slowly rewrote the rules of belonging.
In the early 1900s, filmmakers came west for clear skies and open land. Hollywood's first studios were built on hope and sunlight. By the 1920s, California was producing silent films that captivated the world. A new industry was born. As films grew in scale, so did the spectacle. Stars walked red carpets. Premieres became national events. The Hollywood sign stood tall, an icon of ambition. It symbolized dreams, fame, and the power of storytelling. California didn't just make movies, it made culture. The Oscars celebrated stories that shaped how the world saw America. Hollywood films reached every corner of the globe. California exported not just entertainment, but American ideals. Translated and retold, these stories crossed borders, spreading music, fashion, and language with every reel. From backlot sets to the global stage, Hollywood turned California into the cultural capital of the modern world. In the 1970s, innovation moved into garages. A handful of young minds began building the digital future, one circuit at a time. From Apple to Intel, Silicon Valley emerged as the cradle of computing. Personal computers weren't just machines, they were revolutions in a box. Office parks in Palo Alto and Mountain View replaced gold mines. The new rush wasn't for metal, but for information. Programmers replaced prospectors. Their tools were code and curiosity, and the world followed California's lead. Money flowed from venture firms into bold ideas. Risky bets became billion-dollar empire. Startups went public, and founders became icons. Silicon Valley's influence was no longer regional, it was global. California became the brain of the world's tech economy. From apps to algorithms, its impact reached every corner. Behind the scenes, the infrastructure of the internet expanded. California's digital empire wasn't visible, but it was everywhere. California reinvented itself again, this time chasing energy in the sky. Rooftops became solar farms, and the clean energy rush began. Wind swept through the Mojave. Turbines rose like monuments, turning air into electricity and hope into industry. From freeways to factories, California led the electric vehicle revolution. The car was reborn, cleaner, quieter, smarter. With SB 100, California made a bold bet: 100% clean electricity by 2045. Law turned ambition into a new economic engine. Green tech startups surged. Investors backed solar, batteries, and software, betting big on climate as the next frontier. Clean energy reached undeserved communities. Justice and jobs became part of the climate solution. But the crisis was real. Wildfires raged, droughts deepened. The need for change turned into a race against time. California's model spread from tech to policy. It led a green movement felt far beyond its borders.
California built billion-dollar empires, but not everyone shared the riches. In the shadow of tech towers, tents-lined sidewalks, the wealth gap widened. Sky-high housing costs pushed families further out. Long commutes became the price of staying in the Golden State. Even with one of the world's largest economies, California struggled with its own success. Housing was scarce, affordability vanished. Yet its economy kept moving, powered by the same spirit as before. Immigrants picked crops, built homes, and kept industries alive. As inequality rose, so did resistance. Workers marched, tenants protested, democracy stayed alive, in the streets. Public universities like UC Berkeley and UCLA offered paths upward, turning students into scientists, leaders, and entrepreneurs. From farms to films, chips to scripts, California produced more than culture. It produced capital. And the world still watched. Democracy, diversity, and capitalism shaped a state unlike any other. Not perfect, not finished, but endlessly powerful.